Hello and welcome back to RBY Pokemon Challenges. My name is Teo and today we are finishing the Misty Minimum Battles Series. This has been a grind, guys. 14 episodes, we've already beaten Misty with 70 Pokemon. But today is the day that we've all been waiting for, because today we are getting the single strongest Pokemon in Generation 1, and we're going to see if it can beat Misty right away. That's right, today we're coming at you with the cream of the crop, the strongest of the strongest. Let's check out our challengers today. Now, you can see that we've got 8 Pokemon here, not 5. Well, that's because actually 3 additional Pokemon got through Brock after our original series. Those are posted in the Versus Brock series. There's a playlist linked down below. You can see that we were able to get through finally with Nidoking. Even though Nidoking failed in its original episode, it was just a matter of changing up our strategy. The same was true with Golbat and with Vulpix, but that means that we got through with 78 Pokemon actually, not 75. But today's cast is mostly a bunch of water types that I'm sure you're not here to see. The reason you clicked on today's video is the Pokemon dead center, Mewtwo. Can it beat Misty on minimum battles, and can it do it immediately upon reaching Cerulean City? That's what we want to find out today. So let's get into the challenge rules very quickly and go from there. So our challenge rules, same as every week. Only 1 Pokemon in battle, no items in battle. We don't fight extra battles or unnecessary battles to get through. We can fight the trainers going up to Bill's house. We can fight Rival 3 on the SSN if we need to. That's all the same, guys. There's some TMs we can get, some that we can't. You can check the list right here. Now, with that being said, let's just get into these runs, guys, because we have 8 Pokemon to get through. And the very first Pokemon we're going to run is actually going to be our Dewgong. Oops, not that one. Let's get our Dewgong and let's get to our ROM here. Now, just a reminder, this is in our max DVs set of playthroughs. So these Pokemon are basically the strongest that they can possibly be. But even with that being said, I think that we're going to get insights as we go through these episodes in what will work in our later runs when we do our 0 DVs. Like, this is really just the warm-up, guys. The real challenge will be coming after we get through all of these Pokemon. And I think the next section against Rival 5 is where we're actually going to start to see some of these Pokemon really drop off, because suddenly the game's going to become a real challenge. But in this section, a Pokemon like Dewgong is not going to do too bad, I think. We have Aurora Beam, which is a stab move. Funny enough, Dewgong doesn't naturally learn any water type moves. It only learns them through TMs. But we'll rectify that very soon, because we're going to get Water Gun once we get into Mount Moon. And based on our history, I don't think that Dewgong's going to struggle too much here. So let's just go ahead and heal up and get into Mount Moon. And the only items that we need to pick up in Mount Moon are going to be Water Gun, of course, just to have an extra move on our moveset. It's more PP, but I think we'll just be using Aurora Beam for pretty much everything here. And then we're going to get the rare candy, because you never know. It probably won't come into play against Misty, but it could come into play at a much later stage in the game. So let's just get on through here. And really, honestly, most of our time today is probably going to be spent running away from Zubats, because they just pop up so much in this section. But once we get to Cerulean, most of these Pokemon, I think, are going to be able to just go fight Misty immediately. So here we can see Aurora Beam is doing what it does. We get through all of the Super Nerds Pokemon very easily. Let's go ahead and fight Team Rocket. And the strategy is basically the same. I mean, we might mix in some other moves. I mean, Headbutt is also a perfectly good move. I don't really see any reason to reorder my moves at this point. Because against Misty, I think we're going to use Headbutt a bunch. And, yeah. Takes time to reorganize moves, guys. So, let's go ahead and fight the Junior Trainer in Misty's gym. And here's the first time where I think Headbutt's probably the best move. Let's go ahead and fight Misty herself now. And let's just test it out. Aurora Beam is not very effective against water types, in spite of the fact that it is a stab move. So, okay, we get taken out the first time, but we also didn't heal up before that. And the other thing that we have is Growl, so we can actually reduce the damage that her Pokemon are doing to us, because they're only going to use Tackle against us. And then we can sit here and headbutt her down. The problem is that Starmie gets a lot of critical hits, so yeah, like growling may not be the best strategy. Like, we're gonna do much better if Misty just doesn't use X Defend. Okay, we got very close that time. Let's give it another couple attempts. I mean, critical hits work for us too. And yeah, let's just see. I mean, if she just uses Harden enough times, we will eventually get through. And there we go. It's really just a matter of what moves her Starmie uses for a Pokemon like Dewgong. And Dewgong is going to be very interesting going forward because Ice type is incredibly strong in this generation. When we get to Lance at the end of the game, assuming we get there, we're going to do just fine against Lance's Pokemon because Ice is just going to crush them. But there could be other challenges along the way. We'll just have to see. That will be coming starting in the next episodes when we go to Rival 5. But today, Dewgong is through. That's 1 of 1. Let's get to our next Pokemon. Our next Pokemon is going to be a fan favorite, and that is Blastoise. Now, the Blastoise that we have here is going to be kind of interesting as well because when you look at it, I mean, Blastoise gets an insane moveset as it goes through the game. Like, we can even go and learn Dig in this section if we need to. And late game, it's going to get a move in Withdrawal that will let it use the Badge Boost glitch. So that could always be a strategy late game for us. Now here, this is one spot where maybe we want to move our Water Gun to the top because that's pretty much our best move right now. There's really no reason to use Bubble. And in fact, we're going to replace Bubble basically immediately. When we get the TM for Mega Punch in Mount Moon. Because Mega Punch will just be a much better move. Bubble's basically useless to us at this point. Because in every case, Water Gun is the move. You know, there's like we can use Bubble there just because the opponent is so weak. But all right, let's get into Mount Moon with our Blastoise. Pick up Water Gun just in case. I don't ever think we'd actually teach Water Gun, but there always could be a situation where we just need more PP and we add Water Gun instead of something else. Don't know. So otherwise, we're just getting on through all these Zubats. But here is where we need to pick up our Mega Punch TM. And we're going to go ahead and learn that right now. And we're going to forget Bubble to learn Mega Punch. Like, you could say, why not forget Tackle? That would be legitimate too. But really, I mean, we're going to forget Tackle to learn Dig if that becomes necessary. And that's just if Mega Punch doesn't get us through Misty immediately. But even on our way to a Lieutenant Surge, we're going to want to learn Dig. Because it's just going to expand out our moveset and give us more type coverage. Now, I think Water Gun's still the stronger move here, but definitely it's better in the sense that it doesn't miss as much as Mega Punch. But since Water Gun is still disabled, yeah, I don't know, Mega Punch might be the play. Let's go ahead and get through these Pokemon. Yeah, probably Mega Punch is actually stronger than Water Gun. Like, sorry guys, I haven't done the math on stab and damage with these, you know, but I guess Mega Punch is actually probably stronger than Water Gun in most cases. But let's go ahead and fight the trainers in Misty's gym, starting with the junior trainer. And this one's easy, Mega Punch. And try not to knock ourselves out in confusion. And with low health like that, we can just use Tackle. Now against Misty herself, the strategy is absolutely Mega Punch. Until the cows come home, guys. And just hope not to miss too many times. Hope for some critical hits. But there we have it. Not even a challenge, guys. We get through Misty, 2 of 2, and it's pretty much the same story with these water types. She won't use Bubble Beam, so we just use a normal type move and get enough luck with her using Harden enough times or get some critical hits and we get through. So, with that done, Blastoise is going on to fight Rival 5. Let's see what's the next Pokemon. It's another fan favorite. Hey, Vaporeon. Now, I used to love Vaporeon just because, unlike the other evolutions, it gets a heck of a lot of HP, and combining that with Acid Armor is kind of cool. You get this situation where you've got this really bulky Pokemon that also has the ability to reduce the damage that it's taking, and Acid Armor is going to be a play definitely in this challenge because, again, it's a badge boost glitch plus it's a useful move in a lot of cases to reduce the damage that we're taking. This one is another one where we definitely want to reorganize our moves, though Sand Attack will likely be a strategy going forward. Let's see if we can at least fight one more trainer, even though we're poisoned. Let's see if we can even fight one more trainer, even though we're poisoned. Quick Attack. Water Gun is going to take out the Nidoran male. Perfect. And now we can go heal up. And let's go fight our Bug Catcher and get to Mount Moon. So again, I mean, none of the trainers in this section are incredibly interesting. Like, I've chosen as part of the format of this series to do full game playthroughs, not to cut anything, not to edit anything. I mean, part of it is just that it takes time to do that, but it's also because I just want to put the whole runs out there. I want it to be possible that somebody can go and see exactly where I struggled, exactly how many attempts it took me to do X fight, or, you know, to get Y Pokemon where it, you know, ended up. But, you know, it could be something in the future where we do a digest type of video where we just do the battles against the gym leader. I mean, what do you guys think about that? I experimented with that a little bit with my Versus series, Versus Brock versus Misty playlists, but they didn't seem to draw that much interest, so I abandoned those and just focused on the main runs, the main playthroughs. But what do you guys think? Would you like a short-term form video that does kind of the same thing, but just against the gym leaders or just against the key trainers? Definitely comment that down below, because I'd be interested to hear. Anyway, we are through the Super Nerd. It's time to fight Team Rocket. And we get poisoned right off the bat, but I don't think it's going to matter. Other than really trying not to faint before we get to Cerulean. But even then, I think we can get here. That would be stupid if we fainted right in front of the Poke Center. So anyway, let's get in here to Misty's gym, and I think the strategy is very clear. We're going to use Quick Attack, but we're also going to use Sand Attack here. Tail Whip I don't think is that important, but Sand Attack is, because we're just reducing the accuracy of our opponents, making it much, much easier to take them out. So let's just heal up very quickly, and let's fight Misty. So yeah, I'm going to lead off with at least a couple of Sand Attacks against the Staryu and take it out. And now, against Starmie, we're just going to Sand Attack it like crazy. And now I think we've got our setup where even if we end up having to use Water Gun here, and Water Gun might actually be stronger at this point, given how many hardens it's used. Yeah, we get through, no issue. Sand Attack is the strat there. Given that she won't use strong moves, given that she'll use Harden, we can just get through very, very easily with that one. That's another Pokemon down, but that's always been the story with these water types. Like, we have yet to fail against Misty with a single water type, so... And generally, they haven't even needed to do any extra training or grinding, so, yeah. And sorry, our next Pokemon is not Blastoise. Our next Pokemon is Kingler. So Kingler is going to be kind of interesting because Kingler is kind of a glass cannon. Like, it's not a bulky, strong type of Pokemon, but at the same time, it's definitely a Pokemon that I think will do just fine here with Vice Grip. Like, Vice Grip is a pretty strong normal type move for this stage of the game. The problem is just going to be if it can take enough damage. And really, I mean, Kingler, compared to a lot of other Pokemon in this section, just doesn't get a whole lot of moves to work with, so we're just going to have to see. I mean, Water Gun, of course, is going to upgrade our moveset immediately, but I think the main strategy is just Vice Grip against everything. So put Vice Grip in the top slot here, because we're basically spamming that in all of these fights against, you know, random nobody trainers. Yes, the bug catchers are all nobodies. Like, bug catchers never do anything in this generation, guys. Sorry. Gotta go to Gen 2 to get the bugs to actually be worth something. Because they just don't have any moves, guys. They're basically Bug and Fighting were like the two laughing stocks of Gen 1. And legitimately probably the two worst types in Generation 1. I would say that Poison is probably next on that list as far as types that are just not very good. And it's all just because Psychic was so incredibly overpowered in this generation. Bugs didn't check Psychic at all because they don't have any moves. And that just means that Fighting and Poison just get wrecked in this generation. The only thing that really saves Poison types is the fact that they get the Ghastly line. And so if you were doing like a pure Poison type team, well, technically you could get... I mean, if you were doing pure Poison types, you wouldn't get anything. But if you were doing just every Pokemon has to have the Poison type, you could get the Ghastly line, and that would be pretty strong. But everything else is pretty mediocre. Anyway, here we are. We are at the Super Nerd. Let's see how this goes. I think Vice Grip is still the way to go. so we're just going to use it. And we just don't get through with a lot of health, so I think we're going to heal up right now before Team Rocket, just to be safe. And there we go, we are getting through Team Rocket's team with very little difficulty, but we definitely needed the healing. And here we are, we're outside. We can go ahead and get our Great Ball and run off to Misty. So let's go ahead and save and then fight the junior trainer, and this one is Vice Grip all the way. I really don't think there's any other reasonable strategy, but you can see like how much of a glass cannon this Pokemon is. Like, it was on low HP after fighting the Goldie. So let's see if we can get through Misty. I think we can, but this could be a little bit more of a grind. So we're definitely going to lead off with Vice Grip. And we basically just don't want to take too much damage from Starmie. But there we go. We get through. And not super, super difficult. And Kingler is moving on. And I guess it's kind of expected. Like, I always thought that water types were going to do fairly well. I thought Misty could be a bit of a roadblock for them. But it just hasn't turned out to be the case, and it's just because of her AI. But a Pokemon like Kingler, with the moveset as limited as it is, I'm really going to have to see if Guillotine becomes a strategy. Because if we can outspeed our opponents, we'll be able to use Guillotine and get some one-hit KOs, and there may be some fights where that is our strategy, to just try to get the one-hit KO. Because it's possible, it's 30% chance to hit if we're faster than our opponent. But that could be incredibly interesting. And Harden will come very near the end of the game to be a badge boosting move. So we'll just have to see if those are worth anything. With that done, we've got Kingler out. And our next Pokemon is Kabutops. And Kabutops, I don't think, is going to have any issue against Misty. And that's because Kabutops gets one of the most unique moves for a water-type Pokemon in the game, in that it knows Absorb. And Absorb will not be particularly useful against a lot of these poison types that are coming up, but against Misty, that is going to be the strategy, guys. 100%. So in this section, I think we're mostly going to be using Scratch, Bugs, and Poison. There's no reason to use a non-stab Absorb. But here against Rattata, we can probably use Absorb, and it makes sense. The other good thing that we have going for us in this section is that everything here uses poison and normal type attacking moves, and we resist all of that with our rock type. So Kabutops was actually one of my favorite Pokemon from the original games, but I never ran it on competitive teams because it was just way too weak. Once you got electric type, a grass type in particular, but even water types could just wreck this Pokemon because it doesn't have the resistances. Its two typings pretty much don't add anything, any sort of real utility to it. I mean, sure, we resist now normal type moves, so it's really great for a early game solo run, but it's much worse as we continue through the game. But we could be pleasantly surprised, because this is a Pokemon that I think will beat Brock on minimum battles, even with 0 DVs, because we're going to resist Brock's tackles, we're going to resist Bind, and having Absorb means that we're going to just heal up off of his Pokemon. And the same will be true for Misty, where we're going to be able to heal up off of her Pokemon with Absorb. But it's after that that I think it could run into some issues, because after that, it just doesn't really strike me as a super strong Pokemon, even though it does have quite a nice looking moveset. The real gap in its moveset is there is no Rock Slide. There is no way to take advantage of its rock typing. Anyway, with that being said, let's go ahead and try this fight. I think we're going to use Water Gun. And of course, Water Gun immediately gets disabled. Disable only seems to work for our opponents. And here, oh no, we've gotten poisoned. So, with poison, I think we'll heal up just before we fight Team Rocket. But let's try this, even with poison. Because their Pokemon are not going to do a ton of damage to us, as long as we don't get locked into a crazy wrap. And here I actually think using a little bit of Absorb is the way to go. And then here we have to try to outlast the coughing, but we do. And here I think a couple potions are all that we need to be able to get to Cerulean. So let's get through this section here. And now against Misty, I think this is going to be a fairly easy run. Let's just try it. Junior Trainer, our move here is Absorb. Just plain and simple. No need to get cute, guys. Just Absorb. And same against Misty herself. It's not a super strong move, but I think it's going to get the job done, especially given that, well, I mean, maybe not, because Misty will use Bubble Beam against us, since she thinks that it's super effective, even though it's not. It's just neutrally effective. So actually, we may need a little bit more to get through. But let's try this one more time here. So let's see. So she's doing 10 or 11 damage to us, and we're absorbing some of that damage back. But basically, Bubble Beam takes us out. So with that being said, actually, I think Kabutops is the first Pokemon we're going to have that actually needs to do a little bit more grinding. By grinding, I just mean going up towards Bill's house to get through. Let's see. So here, the strategy is clearly just use our strongest moves. I don't really think Absorb is worth our time here, so let's go ahead and continue north, and we will fight these trainers on Nugget Bridge. Not too bad, guys. Like, we're pretty much going to overperform unless we start taking a bunch of double kicks here. But we're going to overperform against these Pokemon basically until we get to the last, just because we resist all the normal type moves and poison type moves. Though double kick could wreck us in one of these fights against the Nidorans. And here is another Pokemon that could potentially take us out. Fortunately, the AI does not use great moves. So let's go heal up since we're out of water guns. And yeah. Now there's one thing that I'm already seeing that I missed, which was Mega Punch. And that's because I thought that with scythes for hands that we wouldn't learn Mega Punch. I may go back and rectify that later. But for now, I don't actually think we need it. I still think that Absorb is going to be our play against Misty. And in fact, we could always pick up Mega Punch in Celadon. So if it's not a move that we absolutely need to get through, I don't think we'll worry about it. Let's fight a hiker instead. And that's a one-hit KO. Perfect. And here against the Nidorans, we just want to take them out as quick as possible. We don't really want to take a bunch of double kicks. And here, it's just more of the same. And let's see if we can beat this last. So, we're definitely using Scratch here. Water Gun against the Pidgey, and then back to Scratch. This is one place where Mega Punch could be useful, but in the end it doesn't matter. And we save Bill from his incredible Pokemon addiction. And there we are. We are through that section. And I suppose we can come out here and fight the Rocket Grunt before we go back and try Misty a second time. Hopefully we don't get taken out. There we go. No problem. Oops, we don't want to use that. We do want to teach our Charmander Dig. And here, we've leveled up a couple times. Let's see if that affects our battle against Misty. Let's go ahead and take this run, guys. So again, I'm just going to lead off with Absorb. Now we can see that Absorb is healing up a lot more damage. We actually outspeed Starmie. And this is a much easier run. Once we get to level 21, no problem at all. So Kabutops is through. And Kabutops does not have its correct moveset showing. Hey, what is that about? Apologies, guys. Let's correct that. Kabutops' learn set is that one. And that is not the correct moveset either. I think I know what happened here. Yep, okay. So the reason Kabutops looks like it has this amazing moveset is because that is not the correct moveset. That is. And we can see that Kabutops, it's going to get ice moves later. That's going to be good. But it does not learn Mega Punch. That's why I was correct. I just had the wrong set up there. And yeah, everything else is kind of meh in its moveset. Basically, it's just going to get ice, can get Hyper Beam. I don't think any of the fighting moves are going to matter in the long run. With that being said, Kabutops also only learns Surf. So let's get that corrected on here. Oops. That's not the right one. So, just to actually get a proper look at its moveset. Now I know what happened. It's because I have two of these that are linked together, apparently. So something got overwritten. Sorry, guys. But our Kabutops, that is what it's actually going to come out as. So with that being done, it's time to go to our next Pokemon. And for this one, it's just because of how I've copied these slides in OBS. So we'll get that corrected real quick here. There we go. So here we can see our Omastar. It already has Horn Attack. That's going to be basically what it uses. This is another Pokemon that does not really get any TMs to help it out. So let's see how Omastar does in this section of the game. So for that, let's go ahead and load up our Omastar ROM and get running. So Omastar absolutely wrecked Brock because it had Water Gun. But Horn Attack is going to have to be our move going through here. In this part, we can just use Water Gun a bunch of times. And again, this is not going to be super difficult. But yeah, just a moment ago, anybody who saw that the movesets were off, it's basically just that I was copying the slides, or copying the scenes in OBS, and didn't check them. Apologies for that. So you were seeing Mewtwo's moveset on our Kabutops. I promise you, Mewtwo's gonna have an amazing moveset, whereas Kabutops, not so much. So we will grab the Water Gun TM, again, just in case. We never know if we'll need it. And Rare Candy, but that's all we need to get in this section. So we just get on through this section fairly quickly. And let's fight this super nerd. There we go. And it's time to fight Team Rocket, and I do not think they're going to be a challenge, given that they really don't have any strong moves against us. They could poison us, but they don't. So we are on our way to Cerulean City. And this is another one that we're going to go ahead to the gym and just try it with our Horn Attack. We're going to see how that goes. Given that it takes us that many turns to take out Goldeen, I don't think we're going to get through Misty on our first attempt. But you never know. We did get through Staryu with more HP than we got through with Kabutops, so. And that's a pretty good run. Now, we don't really like to see the X defend. So we're probably just not quite getting it where we're at right now. But that's okay. We still have more battles that we can do on minimum battles. So trust me, we're going to get through. I promise you. We're going to get through this one. So we're just going to come up here and wreck Rival 2. And go on through Nugget Bridge. And I think we'll probably be able to do about the same as we did with Kabutops just a minute ago. Just destroy a bunch of trainers north of Cerulean. Try not to get taken out by these fighting types. But, I mean, the fighting types really just aren't that good, guys. Especially in the hands of trainers that don't use good AI, so they don't know to use double kick every single turn. All right. And there we go. We are through Nugget Bridge. We get ourselves a Charmander. I always pick up that Thunder Wave TM, even though most of these Pokemon don't need it. It's just a force of habit, guys. Maybe it's a habit I need to break. I don't know. Here, I think the play is just to use a bunch of Horn Attacks. Can take out that Rattata, take out that Ekans, and now let's fight the infamous Lass. With Horn Attack, it's really not that difficult. We just take these Oddishes out, and it's into Bill's house. Once again, to save him from himself. Okay, so there we've beaten Bill. And yes, I should turn that to set for our battle type. And I mean, text speed, I don't think it really matters in these runs, given that we basically, I mean, we're using such a fast emulator, I just don't think text speed matters. Maybe you feel like it does, but okay, so we're at the same level now, same situation as with Kabutops when it got through. Let's take another run against Misty and see how we do. So again, the strategy is Horn Attack. 2 Horn Attacks takes out Staryu. And we are able to get through Misty just fine. Didn't even need to go down to Vermilion. And that's another Pokemon through. And that's kind of the theme here, guys. Trust me. Just 2 more runs, and we're going to get to the Pokemon that you guys really want to see. And that is going to be after our Seadra. Now, Seadra is another Pokemon that I think in later generations really got some cool upgrades, especially with the upgrade to Kingler and becoming a dragon. But even in this generation, I mean, it's a pretty cool Pokemon, especially with agility coming later and Smokescreen. I think that Smokescreen is going to be our strategy here, given that we don't really get anything else that's super useful just yet. But we'll see how that goes. Smokescreen definitely, I think, is going to help, though. So let's go ahead and get through this route where I think Smokescreen is going to help us a lot with some of these Pokemon, because as we've seen so far, Bubble is not very useful. Bubble is such a weak move, but Smokescreen, I think, is going to make some of these battles much more consistent. Because if we can't be hit, then we're going to get through a lot more. So we're probably going to start off most battles with just a Smokescreen, so that we have, you know, a little worse accuracy from our opponents. But against Misty, we may do the full Smokescreen setup on Starmie. Okay, and we get through. I don't think we need to heal up ahead of the Caterpie, given that Metapod won't be able to damage us at all. Yeah. So, pretty easy, no problems. And we are through to Mount Moon, where we are finally going to upgrade our Bubble to Water Gun. So there we have that. And we're basically going to be stuck using Water Gun against Misty, which is probably okay. Like, we've seen it work with Pokemon like Lapras, but granted, Lapras is much more bulky. In this case, it's probably going to be because we can lower her accuracy that we're going to be able to get through. And we don't want to fight that Rocket Grunt, so just reset. Alright, and here we are. Time to take out this super nerd, and it's perfectly fine with me if he wants to just use disable on our Bubble. So there we are. We get the Helix Fossil, and we are through. don't think there's really that much point in messing around. Just take out their Pokemon with Water Gun. Oops. Come on. There it is. And it's on to Misty's gym, where I think we're going to be able to beat her right away, but let's find out. So here against Goldeen, I mean, we're under-leveled, and we're going to be using a move that's not very effective, so I think just doing the full smokescreen setup is the way to go. And there we go. We get through. I think we should probably heal up. We're going to need all the PP we can get in order to get through Misty. Yes, we need PP to get through Misty, guys. Spam it in the comments. So here, like, we're definitely setting up smoke screens on these Pokemon. The less damage we can take from Staryu even, the better. And against Starmie, it's the same thing. We want to get fully set up with our smoke screens, and now just start using Water Gun over and over and over again. And we can see that we are definitely getting through this one. So there have been a lot of ways for water types to get through Misty. They can have different moves that allow them to get through. They can have resistances that let them get through. They can just have a really strong normal type move that lets them get through. But not a single water type has really struggled against Misty. I mean, yeah, the combined water rock types in Omanyte, Omastar, Kabutops needed a little bit more, but outside of them, really pretty much every water type Pokemon just goes and fights Misty and takes her out. So she's not really doing her job blocking those Pokemon out. With that being said, folks, I know what you're here for. This is the final Pokemon of this challenge. The Pokemon that I think most of you have been waiting for since episode 1. It's time to get our Mewtwo. And first thing I need to do, I need to fix Mewtwo's moveset, just because of the linking issue that we had. So let's get our Mewtwo learn set, which you can see right there. One thing looking at Mewtwo's learn set is that we're actually not even going to get to a high enough level to learn many of its moves. When you're looking at a move like Amnesia at level 81, there's no way we're getting to level 81 on minimum battles. Even with all of our rare candies, that's just never going to happen. So Amnesia is not going to be a strategy here. Even Recover, we're probably not getting to level 70 to get Recover. So basically, we might just get high enough to get Barrier, but other than that, our learn set is really just the moves that it starts with. But the advantage that we have, and sorry, let's correct this because this got off for some reason. Mewtwo's HMs, which are Strength and Flash. The real thing that we're looking at is all of Mewtwo's TM moves. Those are what are going to make Mewtwo an absolute god. And so we're going to play the Pokemon Stadium Mewtwo music as we run through this one, because I think that this is going to be probably a really easy run. As we can see, I mean, Mewtwo, it starts with Psychic. It's basically a god. We are going to forget Disable as quickly as possible because Disable is completely worthless. But yeah, here I don't even think we need to mess with Psychic yet. Confusion is more than enough to deal with these weak little Pokemon. Okay, maybe there against Rattata we can use Psychic just to guarantee a KO. But against all these poison types, we're just going Confusion all day. And I mean, yeah, we can learn Mega Punch, and we will learn Mega Punch just to not have Disable on our moveset anymore, but Psychic is probably the play even against Starmie, because special drops plus the insane special of our Mewtwo is really what we're going for here. And I'm going to pick up the rare candy, even though, like every Pokemon, I'm going to pick up rare candies, but I think that Mewtwo's not going to need them. Especially on max DVs, like, I think we're always going to be able to use our moveset in order to get through challenges, rather than having to resort to using a move like, or using rare candies to level up. There could be some specific spots, but I'm fairly confident that we're going to get through the game without using all our rare candies. And rare candies will probably only come into play on 0 DVs, but even then they may not come into play. Just because Mewtwo's so strong. And yeah, we're just going to go ahead and get through this section, where here again, if it's not weak to Psychic, we'll use Psychic. Otherwise, if it is weak to Psychic moves, we'll just use Confusion. There we go. We have gotten through all of those Pokemon, and now it's just to Misty's gym. I don't think there's any point playing around. I don't think there's any point going and fighting any additional battles. Let's fight the junior trainer, where Psychic is not quite a one-hit KO. And let's try it against Misty herself as well. So yeah, again, we're not quite one-hit KOing the Star U, but we can just see that that's not even a challenge. Misty is a joke. And when I say Misty's a joke, that's because we have now completed every single Pokemon against Misty. So how did we do? We have played 15 episodes against Misty. It's actually 78 Pokemon. And with max DVs, 78 out of 78. Not a single Pokemon that beats Brock on minimum battles loses to Misty. Now, that being said, yes, these are the best versions of these Pokemon. You cannot get a better version of each of these Pokemon than what we've used. Don't let that fool you. Because just because Misty hasn't been a challenge does not mean that the next section will not be a challenge. You know where we're going. I told you a couple weeks ago. We are going to continue from Misty to Rival 5, the Silph Co rival. This is the first time that the rival has a team of evolved Pokemon. When we fight him in Lavender Tower, he's going to have most of his team, but a lot of the Pokemon are still unevolved, which means we're going to take him out very easily. But in Silph Co, it just ramps up that challenge hugely. There are some of these Pokemon that even with the best stats are not going to get through. They're going to get wrecked by Rival 5. I'm confident. But we are going to start off with a Pokemon that maybe many of you wouldn't expect. The first Pokemon against Rival 5 is going to be our Bulbasaur. Now, this is not because Bulbasaur is the first Pokemon in the Pokedex, though that is certainly a nice thing to have. We're taking Bulbasaur against Rival 5 because in the next episode, I'm going to show you that Bulbasaur is an actual god in Generation 1. It is actually the strongest Pokemon in solo runs that I have ever seen, with the most broken strategy that I have ever seen. Some of you might unsubscribe after seeing how ridiculous this strategy is, but I have to put it out there, guys, because I did research on the strategy that I'm going to use, and I could not find a YouTube channel, a runner, that talked about this strategy in Generation 1. So if nobody else is putting it out, I'm going to put it out. And we'll know that this is a fallback strategy if all else fails for Venusaur, for Ivysaur, even for the Pokemon like Execute. Put in the comments below, what moveset do you think we're going to have when we come up against Rival 5? I think it's going to be really interesting. That's going to be coming on Monday, guys. Our very first Rival 5 run. So make sure you tune in. Make sure to hit like, subscribe, and we will see you in the next video. I'll leave you guys with just a little bit of music. Have an amazing day.
Your black market loved me. She checked her halo at the barroom door. As the night bleeds, masquerades, ya no puedo resistir to amor. I know the evil games that you're playing. The way your eyes flow just like a flame. It'd be a sin just to know your on the red moonlight. Let's shoot some stars in this neon night. Now it's a black market love babe. She checked her halo at the bedroom door. Ya no puedo vivir sin ti, como me duele el amor. Yes, I know, it's just a game that she's playing. The way a song brings down the rain, and just one kiss makes me go insane. Whoa, don't make me beg for your love, babe. Shoot some